How many of you would agree that you came all the way here to Orlando because you wanted to leave with at least one thing that would take your life or your business to the next level? Let me hear you make some noise. See, I realize I'm speaking to a whole lot of different people in this room. I realize some of you are brand new. You might not even have a publication yet. And some of you have been to so many of these things that whenever someone gets on stage, you feel like you've heard it before. See, I remember being brand new, and my first conference, it was pretty painful. And I don't mean painful from the conference standpoint. I mean physically in pain. I had just ruptured a disc, and I basically launched my whole magazine hunched over with a walker, with a little rolling red walker with a seat in the middle like my grandma. And I remember what it was like to wake up in the morning and realize that my biggest challenge wouldn't be keeping a microphone on. My biggest challenge wouldn't be closing a deal. My biggest challenge would be taking a shower. It would be dressing myself. It would be getting the walker into my trunk and driving my car to the appointment. And so, if you're new in this room and maybe there's something you're uncomfortable about, I know how you feel. I remember walking in and meeting all the people in charge, and everyone was kind of looking at me, and I could tell they were thinking, is he handicapped or is this temporary? And I remember, honestly, I was asking myself the same question. Am I handicapped or is this temporary? And the only real reason that I was able to get here on this stage, to be walking on this stage, to have a magazine in print, is that when I was laying all weekend over a yoga ball, staring at the floor, looking out the window and being jealous of people walking their dogs and walking in general, I knew I believed so much in this product. And the truth was, it weighed so little to carry that I had to make it work. And so if you're brand new and you don't have a publication to show for, you're going to need even more belief than some of these people in this room. And those of you that are in this room that have been here a bunch of times, you may fall into that trap of feeling like you've heard something before. But I'm going to challenge you, because over the next day and a half, if you tune out for just 1 second, you might just miss that one word, that one phrase, that one idea that would have taken your life to the next level, that you came all the way here to Orlando to find. And so we're going to talk a bit about beliefs. What are we talking about? A couple of you guys get it. We're going to talk about beliefs. And the biggest question you've got to answer right now is, do I believe my future is bigger than my past? Do I believe my future here with N2 Publishing will be bigger than my past? Do you believe that your future will be bigger than your present? How many of you agree, or how many of you believe that a year from now you're going to be in a better place than you are right now? Say, oh yeah. See, we've got to learn to believe that the future will be bigger than our past. When we're going through a renewal cycle, it can be hard, but you've got to believe that your future will be bigger than your past. And this whole conference is really about one word. The word is evidence. What's the word? Evidence. Because when it comes down to believing, wherever you are right now, whether you're brand new or whether you've been crushing it, how many of you would agree there's a next level for you? Say, oh yeah. And wherever you are right now is a direct result of your thinking and your beliefs. So if you want to get to your next level, you're probably going to need an upgrade in your belief system. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? And so, a lot of you need to realize that evidence, when you come to this conference, everything you see on stage, all the people getting awards, all these hundreds of people running publications, thousands of people, are evidence that whatever you've been believing in is possible for you. And here's the main reason this is important. You guys should jot this down, actually. Beliefs turn what you have into what you want. Beliefs turn what you have into what you want. See, if you want something in 2019, you already have, if you're in this room, all the tools you need. You got a phone, you've got a magazine, you got someone else's magazine, it doesn't matter. You've got the tools you need. Realize this. We don't perform to the level of our wants. We perform to the level of our beliefs. Jot that down. We don't perform to the level of our wants. We perform to the level of our beliefs. And so, like I said, everyone in this room has a next level of thinking. If you're on 2.0 or 1.0, there is a next level software. There's a next level belief system. And the question you really need to answer for yourself is, what would an upgrade in my current belief system look like to me? We're going to talk about 5 things to change your beliefs about. And I'll be honest, Jason talks so much about number 1, we can spend half the time on it. How many of you guys have already identified a story that you've been telling yourself about yourself that could change? Raise your hand. Awesome. See, the reason that we're here really is we've got to step back from who we are, where we are, and what we're doing, and actually evaluate who we are, where we are, what we're doing, and what we're believing. And so this is really an opportunity for you to pull back. See, I've been to conferences like this where all I did was come to see my friends. And I've been to conferences like this where I was like, this is going to be my breakthrough. And the difference is never about the speaker. It's always about the learner. Difference isn't about the speaker, it's always about the learner. So the question is, do you believe in a future that is bigger than your present here this weekend at this conference? We're going to talk about, like I said, 5 things. The first is, how do you view yourself? How do you view what? How do you view yourself? What stories have you been telling yourself about yourself? Jason just talked plenty about that, but I'll tell you a quick story. I remember I was flown out to a military base, and I'm speaking to the Army Rangers, and we're backstage, and another speaker says to me, hey, Aaron, what have you always wanted to do with your life? And I said, I've always wanted to speak and write and help people. And he goes, oh, so you're a writer? I said, no, I run a publication. He says, oh, so you're a speaker? I said, no, you might not have heard me. I run a branding company, and I have a publication. And he was like, stop. When are you going to stop telling yourself that you're going to be a speaker and realize you already are a speaker? You're here to speak. He says, you're just a speaker that gets booked less often than you want to. So here's what I'm telling you guys. If you want to get to $20,000 or $30,000 a month, realize you are a $30,000 AD. You're just a $30,000 AD who signed less contracts than you want to. What stories are you telling yourself? Are you a connector or are you an order taker? Are you a connector or an order taker? And really the way to tell is to ask yourself, how do I view the close? How do I view signing a contract? Is that the start of a relationship or the end of something I've been working on? And your answer to that question says everything about how you treat your business and how you treat your relationships. What stories are you telling yourself? Let's go to number 2. How do you view selling? This is where I really want to spend some time. How do you view selling? Let's do a quick word association. I want you guys to yell out the first word that comes to mind when I say salesman. I heard dirty, cheesy, a couple bad words out there. Here's the problem. If your view of a salesperson is negative, then what's the easiest way to not live into that negative perception? It's to give yourself a story, an excuse, an identity that lets you not sell or not sell enough. And so I believe that if you don't close, there's no value exchange and everyone loses. And 2 loses. The company loses, you lose. The company you're partnering with loses because they still need to grow their business. Your neighborhood loses because they don't get to meet these great partners. And so it's on you to close. Grant Cardone says, the world is littered with bodies of salespeople who learned enough about selling to make a career of it, but not enough about closing to make a success of it. So are you a salesperson or are you a closer? Do you believe that there's hundreds, if not thousands of companies right now trying to figure out, how do I get in front of these residents? How do I get in front of these real estate agents? How do I get in front of these builders? It's just your job to find them. But you have to believe. And the truth is we live in a matrix. Like we live in a matrix created by our beliefs. You upgrade your beliefs, you upgrade your reality. And so I believe that every objection, when we're talking about selling, is just a complaint. Just like it's hot in here, we're not going to fix it. We're going to sit through the conference. If you feel like it's hot, you get some water. If you tell me it's too expensive, I'm going to say, I agree it's expensive. Sign right here. I agree it's a lot of money. Go ahead and sign right here. You guys want some other funny closes? I'll give you guys some funny closes. Hey, I agree. How many of you ever heard it's a lot of money? Raise your hands. Okay, like 25 of you. It's a lot of money. I agree it's a lot of money. All of our partners feel like it's a lot of money, but that's nothing compared to all the money you're going to make when you dominate this community for years to come. I agree it's a lot of money. Be grateful that you're in a position to spend this kind of money. There are a lot of title companies that are closing their doors, and you're here looking at a $20,000 advertising contract to keep growing your business. So you should be grateful that you can say yes to a contract like this to help grow your business and your team. Let's do this. You've got to believe enough to close. When you're selling, there should be 3 things every time. You want to write these down. Or these are 3 things you should do, at least one of the 3 every time. Assure, insist, and persist. Let's try that. What's number 1? What's number 2? And number 3? Persist. Assure them it's the right citizen. Insist that this is the right company. Persist in the sale. A lot of you are running what we call a now or never business. They don't sign the contract, you're on to the next company. I love following up month after month after month. I love doing a party, shooting a video to someone from 6 months ago and just saying, hey, any chance you want to revisit that conversation? We'd love to have you on board. You got to persist in the sale. I got 1 or 2 more for you. How many of you ever heard over budget, an over budget objection? Hey, I understand it's over budget. Why don't you do it anyway? Go ahead and sign right here. By the way, isn't it nice to say sign right here, not sign here, here, and 3 initials on the back? Just saying. Over budget. Hey, I understand it's over budget, and honestly, this probably isn't the first time. It probably won't be the last time that you've went over budget. I'm going to need you to sign here and here. Over budget. Hey, I understand you're over budget. The truth is, over budget won't kill you. It's not a disease. The U.S. economy is $21 trillion over budget, and we somehow keep on ticking. Need you to sign here and here. This is my favorite one. And by the way, these aren't my closes. These come from a book called The Closer's Survival Guide. Over budget. Hey, I understand it's over budget. In fact, most of our customers that buy from us are over budget. In fact, we have a support group that meets every Monday night. It's called Over Budget. And if you sign here and here, you can come to the meeting. I'll let you speak Monday night. Obviously, those are funny, but they make people laugh. You don't want to use them every time. But when you're sniffing the sale and they're right on the edge, these things work. My favorite one's you deserve it. Hey, honestly, you deserve to be a part of this. You do a phenomenal job. You're a veteran. You've got a great team. You've been raved about. Realtors all over have been talking about you. Or residents have been talking about you. You deserve to be a part of this. Why don't we find a way to make this work? You've got to believe enough to close the deal. How do you view your business? Think about this. What are you really selling? See, I believe that I'm selling the vision of what their network could look like 3 years from now. And that's how you get a lot bigger contracts. When I was brand new, I was the king of 12-month contracts. Do you know why? Because I was selling, just get on board. That's what I believe, just get on board. And they're like, all right, what's the smallest thing, shortest term? And I was like, $300, 12 months, let's do it. You know? Now, I really believe in the value of partnering long term. How many of you would agree that when 2 people are committed to a relationship, it goes a hell of a lot better than just one? 12 months to me is not really a commitment. How do you view your business? Are you selling a magazine or are you selling a platform? See, one of my biggest beliefs is we're selling a platform to reach affluent communities or to reach affluent real estate agents. It's not just about the magazine. So I tell them this is social, digital, print. And I always paint the vision. We talk about a 3-year deal. I'm telling them straight up, do you think you could land some new clients over the course of 36 issues, 12 events, and 2 stories about your company? And usually they're like, well, I guess so. That's what you should be selling. Are you selling a magazine versus a platform? I remember my buddy Mitch, when he was selling a magazine, he was struggling. He started selling a platform, started selling the vision of what he was creating, of how it would help their businesses, and he blew up. Here's the real question. How much do you believe in the product? I mean, let's be honest. Do residents of affluent communities care about their neighborhood all across America? Yeah. Do real estate agents have egos or things they're really passionate about all across America? Yeah. So as a whole, if this works in Lincoln, Nebraska, it's going to work in San Diego. If this works in Miami, it's going to work in Philly. Does that make sense? If you see anyone in this room being successful, and there's a lot of that, there's a lot of evidence, you just have to look for it like Jason was talking about. Couple other questions. Do you believe everyone renews? See, I truly believe that everyone renews. It's like really strange when they don't. So much so that when we do an event, I like to blast out an email to some clients and say, hey, You've got 24 months left, or you've got 23 months left, or 17 months left. You want to go ahead and lock in your rate and add on an extra 12. And they're like, sure. So we don't even worry about renewals. We're constantly adding 12 months all the time. Whenever something goes good, we have a good meeting, we have a good event, we have good something, we're like, let's tack on 12 months and lock in your rate. And they're like, sure, no big deal. I don't make it a big deal because I believe they all renew. Here's the biggest question to ask yourself, and I want you to really think about this. If you've already tuned me out, catch this one part. Do you emphasize delivering value do you emphasize delivering value as much as you emphasize signing today? Do you emphasize delivering value as much as you emphasize signing today? A lot of you are so adamant that they've got to sign today and for a long time, but then once you get the contract, you're not worried at all about delivering value until you sit down with them for renewals. How do you view your business? Do you see this as a partnership? Do you see these as people that you're partnering with? Let's talk about the last two. How do you view time? See, time's an investment, and it dictates, and how you view your time dictates whether or not it works for or whether it works against you. And all relationships come with a price. The price is time and energy. And so if you're going to sign 65 partners or 100 partners or 80 partners or however many partners you're going to sign, that's going to come with a price of time and energy to maintain those relationships. And if you view your business as a relationship business, not just like closing the sale and making a magazine, then you're going to realize that some part of your schedule needs to be allocating time to go deeper, not just wide. Does that make sense? If you're following me, say, oh yeah. Viewing time. Some partners need it. Some partners, they need time. How often are you having a revisit the conversation? If you've been a year in print, go back to everyone that didn't buy and ask them if they want to revisit the conversation. If you've been 5 months in print, send them the magazine or show them a link. Say, hey, here's a link. Any chance you want to revisit the conversation? You would be shocked what percentage of people say sure. I would tell you today we probably have 10 partners that just revisited the conversation when we proved that it works because we believed in the vision. Here's the biggest thing you've got to get from this message. My belief outweighs their doubt. Write that down. My belief outweighs their doubt. My belief in myself, in my product, in what we're delivering, in who comes to our events will always outweigh their doubt. And I know if I could just get them to trust that we're going to deliver, they're going to be impressed. But how do you view yourself in your business? Are you running events worth talking about? Let's be honest, you can run a mediocre event or you can go all out. And they both work. But when you run a great event, people start coming to you. People start referring you. People start being attracted to you. And you start vetting, not selling. The last one is how do you view your challenges? How do you view your challenges? One of my mentors always says, within every challenge, you've got to find the opportunity. And so I remember being challenged with the little things like walking, with the little things like getting to an appointment. And I'd have to tell myself that this is an opportunity for me. For me, I learned this was an opportunity to convince everyone to come visit me somewhere. And so I learned a system that got everyone to come to me. Now, I'm not recommending that, but when you're handicapped and you're Ubering everywhere, you figure it out. How do you view your challenges? Because here's the truth. It's never about the size of the challenge. It's always about the size of you. Let's say you're a level 5 person and you get a level 7 challenge. Is it a big problem or a small problem? It's a big problem. But if you grow yourself as a person, you're a level 9 person, you get a level 7 challenge, it's a small problem. And so throughout this business, when you have a deadline, how many of you ever had a deadline where everything went wrong and you're up to 11:59? Say, oh yeah? Did you make it? The opportunity is to realize you never have to stress about a deadline again because you know you can believe that you can make it when everything goes wrong. Does that make sense? Deadlines don't stress me out because I've done them at 11:59 and I know they can be fixed. I'll probably drive the design team crazy, but they can be fixed. It's never about the size of the challenge, it's always about the size of you. And so the goal is not to avoid your challenges, it's to embrace them and grow yourself every day bigger than your challenges. I'm going to leave you guys with one last thought. I remember being in a conference just like this one, and I heard one thing, that the second I heard it, I knew my life was going to change. Anyone here want to know what it is? The speaker looked out in the crowd and he said, every great achievement that's ever occurred followed a moment when an individual allowed a perception of himself to precede reality. I'll say that one more time. Every great achievement that's ever occurred followed a moment when an individual allowed a perception of themselves to precede reality. So if there's something that you want to get in this business or out of this year, don't wait for reality to prove you can do it. You've got to believe. Belief is seeing the invisible. You've got to look up on the stage at the evidence and believe in what's possible for you. Believe in what's invisible today, and don't wait for reality to prove you can do it. Thank you very much.